afternoon and greetings of the day. So, today we welcome you all to the Indo-Mexican Cycle of Conference 2021. We feel very honored to invite to have the speaker of our day, Dr. Sanjib Kumar Singh, and to give a very small brief introduction. Sanjib Kumar Singh, a trained archaeologist and museologist born in a family of freedom fighters. He belonged to the first batch of the Institute of Archaeology of the Archaeological Survey of India, Delhi. He obtained BA History from Bhagalpur University, MA in Ancient India and Archaeology from Patna University, Patna, and pursued PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia University, New Delhi, on new archaeological remains of Chandela. He has completed in-service course in museology from National Museum, New Delhi, diploma in museology from National Folk Museum of Korea, Seoul, South Korea, short-term training at V&A, London, United Kingdom, PG diploma in journalism from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, New Delhi, Korean language from Sukmyon Women University, Seoul, South Korea, book publishing from Institute of Book Publishing, New Delhi, besides other trainings. He has authored or co-authored several books like Man in Paleolithic Age, Buddhist Art in National Museum Collection, and Introduction to the Indus Valley Civilization, and wrote Ecstasy of Indian Collection, Pura सृष्टि सभ्यता एक परिचय भारतीय कला में सलील हृदय एवं सभ्यस्नता नायिका भारतीय कला में 16 श्रृंगार published by the National Museum, New Delhi. Paleolithic Age, Glory That Was Harappan Civilization, Harappan Pottery Technique and its conservation are published by private publishers. Author Ramagriya commemorative volume, National Number 10 Special Issue, magazine, newsletters, etc. have been edited by him. He has published more than 100 research articles in international and national journals. His drama Chamche Badalte Nahi, Sach Ki Goli are published and were telecasted on TV along with his stories, travelogues, and poems. He has been the curator, co-coordinator, planner, and conceptualizer of many exhibitions for National Museum, including Buddhist treasures in the NM collection, Buddhist art of India, archaeology of Chile, jewels of India, the Nizam jewelry collection, etc. Government of India deputed him as an expert to Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Belgium, Germany, France, Austria, South Korea, United States of America, United Kingdom, Australia, China, etc., besides Nepal, Bhutan, to organize exhibition, deliver lectures. He has also worked with the Archaeological Survey of India, Intact, and the Indian Museum, Kolkata. So today we feel honored, and also the title that our speaker will be presenting will be on Museums in India and Indian Art, an archaeological and historical perspective.
Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you, Tariq ji and Ms. Pillai. It's a really an opportunity to be with you this evening, this afternoon rather. And we are talking about the museums in India and Indian art and archaeological and historical perspectives. So the title itself is a bit introductory. It is not a scholarly, but it is an introductory title, and we are entering the subject to introduce Indian history of the museums in India as well as the Indian art to the audience and visitors. Those will see it for the better understanding about the India. As we know that India is a great country and one of the cradle of the civilization, a great four civilization which was existed in our world, that is China, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the definitely our one great civilization, Indus Saraswati, Indus Valley civilization, commonly known as the Harappan civilization. So India has a chronological history, and we don't have any break. We have the continuation in our culture. So people has to of the world should understand as to why we are existing and why we are the great. The greatness is not that we are the prejudices and having the otherwise glorious thing. We have the glorious past. That's why we are the great. And if we are the great, the India is a great. Definitely, it is its due to its heritage, due to its culture, due to its civilization, and due to its a human being. We all believe Basudhaiv Kutumbakam. We believe in the entire world is a part of the family, and over that we have the concept of believing Atma Vatsar Bhutesu, that the entire soul is as good as your own soul. And also we believe Yad Bhadrang Tan Asu, whatever is the good come to me, whatever is good in the universe come to us. So it is with this context, India is having the glorious past, and that is why it feel proud of that it is a living and lively country right from the right from the beginning. We have the concept, that the Siva Pithikas, the first app where when you have the chronological development, that Siva Pithikas, you have the Rama Pithikas, then you have the Homo erectus, Homo sapiens. So all these things have been found here in India. And also, if we go for the archaeological remains, then we have the Paleolithic tools, we have the lower Paleolithic tools, we have the middle Paleolithic tools, we have the upper Paleolithic tools, we have the Mesolithic, we have the Neolithics, and of course. So if we have the continuity, we have all the elements with you, then you have a reason to believe that you are great, and you should be known to the people. If you are not known, India is known to all entire world. I have traveled across the world, and wherever I have gone, people are knowing India more than me. So this is the uh, so this is the what exactly you have given the message to world. But even there's a serious students, young scholars, young students, and young visit audience with us. They want to understand that what is the history of museum, heritage of India. So within this frame, the heritage and culture, we have selected a title, Museums in India and Indian Art and Archaeological and Historical Perspectives. So in this lecture, we'll look into the matter that what is how we entering the things, how museum has grown in India, and what is the scenario of the art in India. So what is the continuity? What is archaeological background? So we'll peep into this in a short time. We have limited time. I have hundreds of the slides, but I will show you few. So first we understand that what is a museum. In general conception, museum can be seen as an institutionalized expression of the innate urge of man for collecting and preserving an object-centric activity by nature, collecting that existed across cultures and eras because their collectors or preservers saw in them some meaning and value. When these collected objects came together under one roof, they gave birth of museums, place that have signified knowledge and learning since their inception. So this is the general conception about the museum in the people's mind. So also we look into the what is art. Art is a highly diverse range of human activities engaged in creating visuals, auditory, or performed artifacts, artworks that express the author's imaginative or technical skills and are intended to be appreciated for their beauty or emotional power. Art may be characterized in terms of mimesis, its representation of reality, expression, communication of emotion, or other qualities. Art is often examined through the interaction of the principles of the elements of art. The principles of art includes movement, utility, harmony, variety, balance, contrast, proportion, and pattern. The elements includes texture, form, space, shape, color, value, and line. So the various interaction between the elements and principles of art help artists to organize sensorially pleasing works of art while also giving viewers a framework of within which analyze and discuss aesthetic ideas. So this is the concept of art in our mind in the popular world. But at the same time we have to look into, if we go, and our topic is yeah, as we know that museums in India and art, Indian art is a historical perspective. So we have to understand about the museum first. So we have the general conception we have given, what is the museum and what is art. Now we will go into the historicity of the museum. So derived from the Greek word museum, the term museum meant a temple of mouse and a place dedicated to contemplation. The Mausoleum was a philosophical institution and a home to the nine goddesses of Greek arts, science, history, literature, poetry, which Calliope, epic poetry, Callio, history, Erato, love poetry, Euterpe, music and lyric poetry, Metamany, tragedy, Polymania, hymns and mimes, Tepiscope, dancing, Thalia, comedy, Urinita, astronomy. So if you go the, we have the Navrasas. So it is similar to our Navrasas. We have the 9 rasas in our art. In the 22nd General Assembly of ICAM, held in Vienna on August 24, 2007, the following definition of museum was adopted, which is in vogue as on today. A museum is a non-profit permanent institution in the service of society and its development, open to the public, which acquires, conserves, researches, communicates, and exhibits the tangible and intangible heritage of humanity and its environment for the purpose of education, study, and enjoyment. Here is a thrust to look into the art also. If you go in the museum, what is that? It is a repository, it is a center, it is a house where you have certain where you have the objects, and these objects are acquires, conservation, research, communicates, but it is for purpose of education, study, and enjoyment. So this is a broadly we can understand about the museum. In ICOM's finding here, however, the definition of the term museum was rather different than the one currently in vogue. In it read, the word museum includes all collection open to the public of artistic, technical, scientific, historical, or archaeological material, including zoos and botanical gardens, but excluding libraries, except in so far as the maintained permanent exhibition room. Much before museums began to exist in their edified forms, there existed impulses of what we today recognize as museum functions, that is, a acquisition and preservation. A collection's primary urge upon seeing an object with what she preserves as having meaning is collect. Is collect, to collect. So this is what we talk about the museum. The first museum like institution was established in 3rd century BCE in Alexandria, Egypt by Ptolemy I Soter. The Alexandrian Museum was an institution related to the research, education, literary, and scientific learning. The 3rd century BCE established Alexandria. The Greek historian, geographer, and philosopher, sorry, philosopher Strabo described the architecture of the Alexandrian Museum as a vast complex consisting of buildings, gardens, and opulent lecture and banquet halls, each connected by porticos or colonnades walkways based on Aristotelian model of the lacun, where Aristotle taught students by using his natural history collection. The Alexandrian Museum had botanical and geological park. The museum consisted of different facilities, and each of these was presided by a president priest. So this is the background. We believe if you have the museum concept of museum, so here we have the example in the world that in the 3rd century BCE we have the we have the museum in what we see in the modern concept. So the existence was the museum was there. So so we in there keeping in the background in our mind, we'll enter into India. What is the scenario in India that is regarding the museums? The earliest museum on the Asian continent was perhaps that of the collection of the Asiatic Society of the Bengal, founded in 1840. That is known as the Indian Museum, marks the point at which the museum movement heralded its initiation in India. The society maintained the archaeological, geological, and natural history collection at the museum for several years in Calcutta before shifting to its present building in 1875. During the second half of the 19th century, several other government museums were founded in India. That Madras, now it is known as Chennai, in 1851, Lucknow in 1863, Bangalore 1865, Mathura 1875, Jaipur 1886, and Baroda 1894. So this is a, but it's a modern one. Prior to that, as we have in Alexandria, so we have also a museum like structure was there, museum like setup was there in India. The existence of museum like institution in India in the forms of Chitrashala, picture gallery. So every from either Gupta period, if you see the literature of the Buddhist literature of 600 BCE, there is a vivid description about the Chitrasalas. It means the Chitrasala, that is one part of the museum, or you can say the gallery, was existed in that period. So the concept of museum was very much existing in the India. That is a proven. So it was known as the Chitrasala, picture gallery, Ajayab Ghar, house of curiosities, Jadughar, house of magic, temples, caves, and royal ateliers had been there in the ancient and medieval periods. These institutions ensured the continuity of the cultural tradition through engaging in collecting, preserving, and documenting heritage. An early instance of the same is seen in the Brideshwar temple at Tanjore. This 11th century CE temple was built during the period of the Chol dynasty by the king Raja Chol. Inscription on temple walls recorded details of the construction and the number of the gifts, including bronzes, ornaments, and other objects given to the temple. The temple walls also depicts scenes from the mythology and provide a history of the king's guru, master, and mind behind building the temple, Kuruvur Devar. So Brideshwar is one, and also we have the concept of the Devghar. That is the early phase temple architecture's place. But if you see the Ramayana panels are there, Mahabharata panels are there. So these are depicted in the art form. So the temples were also a part of the museum, not exactly on the terms and phrases of the mythology of the modern day, but that is the concept of preserving, conserving, and collecting was there existing in India. So this is the how we have moved. It was in the later half of the 19th century that the British began to establish different institutions like Geological Survey of India 1851, Archaeological Survey of India 1861, the Botanical Survey of India 1890. While the process of colonizing the British felt a need to acquire knowledge of India's customs, culture, languages, castes, history, industry, agriculture, trade, energy, resources, flora and fauna, and climatic changes. To realize their political and administrative ambitions, various institutions were created. Of these, the institution related to art and culture was the Asiatic Society of Bengal, established on 15th January 1784. So this is how the museum movement of India traveled. The Asians started traveling. The Asiatic Society was founded by Sir William Jones to encourage Oriental research and to inquire, among other things, into the history and the antiquities, art, science, and literatures of Asia. Jones arrived in India as puissant judge of the Calcutta Supreme Court. Along with other enthusiastic antiquarians, he established the society to conduct research on wide-ranging topics and such as geology, mathematics, mechanics, ethnography, art, geography, religion, mineralogy, politics, grammar, and rhetoric, music, architecture, and medicine. Putting Jones on the society's aspiration, Sir Evan Cotton writes that the bounds of the investigation will be the geographical limits of Asia, and within these limits, its inquiries will be extended to whatever is performed by man or produced by nature. Cotton further added, the library contains over 15,000 volumes, among them then the 5,000 Sanskrit, Arabic, Persian, and Hindustani manuscripts. The bulk of the Arabic and Persian manuscripts form part of the Tipu Sultan's library and had been transferred from Singapore, Srirangpatnam to the College of Fort Williams. So it is a traveling, it is a movement of the museum movement in the India. Thus, the Indian museums moved to shape towards the end of the 18th century in a climate of the enthusiastic interest in India that was spearheaded by scholars, Orientalists, Indologists, army, and administrative officers. The Asiatic Society had amassed in extensive collection of the antiquities, and by 1796 a strong need was felt to house these in a museum. Though upon initial excitement, these finds or curiosities were sent to the Britain, but their surge led the society to establish its own museum. The Oriental Museum of the Asiatic Society was founded in 1814 in Calcutta by Dr. Nathaniel Wallis, who mooted the idea of establishing a museum, became its first curator, and hence it is known as the Indian Museum. And still it is known, the Calcutta Museum known as the Indian Museum. The Asiatic Society accepted Dr. Williams' proposal and resolved ready a hall on the ground floor of its building as a museum. Contributions were invited and specimens were sought so that the museums could include objects such as stone or brass, inscription, figures of Hindu deities, ancient coins, manuscripts, vessels used in religious ceremonies, musical instruments, war instruments, taxidermy, specimens of animals or birds, dried plants and fruits, ores and minerals, etc. A prominent contributor to the Oriental Museum of the Asiatic Society were colonial stewards, Dr. Titler, General Mackenzie, Brian Hodgson, Babu Ram Kamal Sen, Captain Dillon, and William Carey. The next significant move came in 1866 when the Society's museum was renamed Indian Museum. It shifted to its present building in 1875 and became open to the public on 1st April 1878. 1878, the present building of the Indian Museum, Kolkata, it was opened to the public. Learned society similar to the Asiatic Society came into existence in Madras and Bombay. The Madras Literary Society and auxiliary of the Asiatic Society of London took initiative to bring a museum movement to Madras. Even in 1829, the Madras Literary Society took steps to establish a museum of the economic geology. Understand, economic geology. However, it was in 1843 that the court of the directors of the East India Company gave the assent to establish a central museum in Madras. And the government museum in Madras, now Chennai, was finally established in 1851 and was the second museum in the country after the Indian Museum of Calcutta to be set up. The museum complex today includes a theater and art gallery. By 1857, there were 12 museums in India, but the museum movement was disrupted by the revolt by the first independent, which is known as the Britisher as a revolt of 1857, and did not resume until 1863. When the movement gathered pace in 1863, the museums to be established were those in Lucknow and Nagpur, and in 1864, the provincial museum was opened in Lahore. In the next decade, seven museums were established at Bangalore 1865, Mysore 1865, Faizabad, now it is known as Ajodhya 1867, Delhi Municipal Museum 1868, Calcutta Economic Museum 1872, Mathura 1874, and Raipur 1875. A crucial development to take place in years 1861 to 1862 was establishment of the Archaeological Survey of India (EASI), respectively in the year 1887 and 1897. Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee and Diamond Jubilee were celebrated. To commemorate these, many museums were established in the British Empire. These were museums of the crafts at the Victoria Technical Institute, Madras 1887, Victoria Memorial Hall, Calcutta, Watson Museum, Rajkot 188, Lord Ree Industrial Museum at Pune 1890, Baroda State Museum and Picture Art Gallery at Baroda 1894. The Maharaja of Princely Estates established museums in their respective territories states to commemorate the 1887 Golden Jubilee, the marking their initiations in the museum movement. Museums were established in princely estates of Jaipur, Udaipur, Rajkot, Vijayawada, Trichur, and Bhopal. To resume with the development of the museum movement, the era of site museum began in the 20th century under the prime initiative and effort of Sir John Howard Marshall, ASI Director General from 1902 to 1928. These archaeological institutions began to proliferate in the country. The formation of stone for the Prince of Wales Museum, the Western India, was led by the Prince of Wales on 11th November 1905, now known as the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya. The museum houses around 50,000 artifacts and that comprise of Indian miniature paintings, European paintings, natural history specimens, sculptures, terracottas, bronzes, artifacts from Harappan sites, porcelain, and ivories from China and Japan. By 1900, there were 26 museums in India. In 1911, the first directory of museum in India was published. By 1936, the total number of museums in India was 105. The report mentioned that out of 105 museums in 1936, 19 museums were devoted entirely to archaeology and 16 devoted to what might be termed historical material in the widest possible sense, while no less than 35 other museums have archaeological or historical collection. So the attainment of Indian independence in 1947 brought the museum movement into new phase. Till 1985, museums of India were under the charge of the Ministry of Education. From 1984 to 1985, they were under the charge of the Ministry of Human Resource, of which the development of culture was a part. From 1990 to 2000, Museum of India came under the newly formed Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Since 2004, the ministry has been renamed and is now known as the Ministry of Culture. The Directory of Indian Museum, Agrawal 2014, list total of 659 museums in India. Out of these, 124 are under the charges of the central government. So museums run state governments are 274. Assam state. So Assam State Museum, Patna Museum, Goa State Museum, Chennai Museum. Out of 659 museums, 64 are run by the private organization. 55 are run by the private public trust, 94 universities and colleges, 23 by registered society, 7 by municipal corporation, 9 as autonomous museum, and 4 by the Gandhi Smriti Trust. Museums to have been declared a museums of natural importance are Indian Museum Kolkata, Salarjung Museum Hyderabad, Allahabad Museum Allahabad, National Museum run by the central government include National Museum New Delhi 194, National Children's Museum 1949 New Delhi, National Gallery of Modern Art New Delhi 1954, National Science Center New Delhi 1992, Nehru Memorial Museum and Library New Delhi 196, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya 1974. So these are the this is the development or the movement of museum movement in India. We have seen the Chitrashala, we have seen the Ajayab Ghar, we have seen the Jadughar in ancient India. We have seen the temples, Brihadeshwar temple or other temples of the country. That is the repository of art and culture. But in the real sense, it moved by the Asiatic Society of Bengal, and the first museum was established. That is an Indian Museum 1814, and that is what we have now. More than 1800 museums as on today in India, as per new survey. So we look into the classification of museums: art and archaeological museums, history museums, natural history museums, ethnography museums, science museum, personalia museum, industrial museum, maritime museum, medieval museum, medical museum. So these are the, and I don't want to go into the museum and their relevance, because we have Tariq ji has given me the short time of 40 minutes, and I have consumed maximum of the time. So now we are entering. We have seen the development and the movement of Indian museums. So I have given you the archaeological and the historical perspective and the historical journey of the museums in India. So, and I think your audience, the audience who are listening and who will listen, they will understand the movement of a museum in India, right from the BCE to the modern day till date. So we are entering the second part of this, the Indian art and introduction to Indian art and architecture. The long tradition of Indian art and art architecture is unique of its kind. It came into being with the pre-proto-historic culture of the subcontinent. Looking back into the unfolding of human civilization, it is found that the prehistoric man was an integral part of nature, having strong parallels with the behavioral activities of the animal world. The prehistoric Indian witnessed the same pattern of the life, from food gathering to agriculturist, where the nature and the animal world played a vital role. Almost all the prehistoric rock shelter with all wall paintings shows the man and the animal world. So this is how we are entering in the art. So from primitive age, that is a Paleolithic or prehistoric age, we have the existence of art, and this is how. That is why we say that we have a continuity. We have developed gradually and grew. We have developed ourselves from point one to the horizons. We are going to the horizon. So horizon is limitless. So we have different kind of arts, and Indian art is limitless. You cannot frame it within a given time and scope. So, as it well known, paintings and drawings were the oldest art forms practiced by the cave dwelling people who used to the cave walls of their canvas. The themes of the paintings found on the walls of the various rock shelters of the Indian subcontinent are varied in nature, ranging from the mundane events of the daily life in those times of the sacred and royal images. These includes hunting, dancing, music, horse and elephant riders, animals fighting, honey collection, decoration of bodies, and other household scenes. So these the art is now started traveling with a concept. So whatever they have harmonized with the environment, They translated the ideas what they saw in the nature. If they saw something in nature, they the artistic mind of the human being of India was translating those things in their day-to-day activities. Thus, while they are doing this, they made art, and we call it the artifacts and the paintings. The next artistic phase of Indian art happens to be the pre-urban society of the people living around the Baluchistan and Afghanistan in the areas of Zob, Kulli, Amri, Mehergarh, and other places. These places yielded a large number of terracotta figurines and pottery fragments, which are stated to be the beginning of the early Harappan period. One of the most interesting feature of Indian architecture is developed of temple style, which according to the Silpa Shastras, canonical text, is divided into three main styles: Nagara, Dravida, and Vimana. Though generally these three groups are stated to have developed in the north and south of the India subcontinent, but sometimes an overlapping may also be seen. So the architecture, the art is the part of the integral part of the architecture, and architecture is also reflection of art. So what exactly with this statement I want to say that both are the integral. It complement and supplements each other. Art and architecture complements and supplements each other. So this is the how the background I am giving you. Artistic expression in terracotta, stone, bronze, stucco is found in large numbers, giving the subcontinent continental a continuous art history of art from the early historical till date. A thorough investigation into the sculptural art of ancient India would show some chronological development from the early historic to medieval historical phase. With the introduction of image worship, there developed large number of divinities in almost all the states of the different religious. As consequences, they are developed colonial text on the details of prescription for the image making. For the image making, the establishment of the Muslim rule in India introduced different Islamic motifs and monuments following the Indian and other Islamic culture. Again, when India was in under the European regime, it witnessed influence of several European cultures in the realm of the architecture and art. So we can see the Indian art has developed and adopted whatever it has received. The Mughal came from outside. They harmonized with the indigenous art and architectures. When the Britishers come or European comes, Portuguese and Dutch came, they also came with their own thought and some different architecture that was also adopted in India. So we have that it is there is a fusion, and we call is the diffusion of culture. The exactly it is the India is a place where you can see the real in real sense the global context is there. It is a not unilateral. It is a uh, complex and wide. So it has wider heart and adopted everything here. So this is the why Indian art and the architecture are great. So Indian art between 600 BCE to 600 CE. Development of art in terracotta, stone, bronze, stucco, etc. Cave paintings, early sculptures, style and iconography, numismatics art. Art between 600 to 1200 CE, early medieval sculpture art and iconography, especially Brahminical, Buddhist, and Jain. Here, and illustrated manuscript and murals. These are the part of the art. So we know the art and architecture are the creation of human innovation. Art tradition have two basic forms: court art and the popular traditions. In Indian context, they are always quoted with the history, culture, philosophy, and religion. The classification of art and architecture is a subjective exercise. There can be number of classification, sub-classification. Generally, classification are done on the basis of chronology, material, reason, religion, descriptive wise. So these are the characteristics. And understanding the classification, we can say the chronological order: prehistoric, proto-historic, early historic, historic, early medieval, medieval, late medieval, and material-wise: stone, wood, terracotta, metal, perishable materials. So we have the classification of. So what is the archaeological context? In archaeological context, the meaning of art and architecture has slight limitation, as we have to select out what are available. Because of this constraint and limitation of material evidences, the art and architecture of the Mauryan period has to be taken to up together. That the two issues can be taken separately. The evidence of art are available right from the prehistoric period. The first example of an art object in Indian subcontinent is Mother Goddess figurine from Boland Valley in UP. Beside these evidences from Mehergarh, Bhimbetka, few other sites are classical representatives of early art tradition. So we have the tradition, and now we are entering the Indus Saraswati civilization, known as the Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization. Around 3750 BCE. Earlier it was 2005 BCE, and now the now date has gone further deep. Now it is a 5800 BCE. Date goes to the Indus Saraswati civilization. So that is the totally archaeological part of the archaeological discussion. But here we are looking into the art. So generally referred as the Harappan civilization. Also after one of the major cities lasted until approx 17 BC, near present day Pakistan border. Selected it was broader. So we can see. Uh, what is the silent features of the Indus Saraswati civilization? Crafts workers used clay for beautiful figurines and the communication. Art are the reflection of the environment, ecology, and coexistence. Streets in grid design or a wall or around the city, houses and bricks, etc. These are the part of the architecture. We are looking into the art. So here is the two example, the masterpieces of the Indus Saraswati Valley civilization. It is printed on my book, an introduction to the Indus Valley civilization. Here you can see, if you can see, here is the first example of the breastfeeding mother. First example of the breastfeeding mother, which is the slogan of the UN, WHO. Breastfeeding is the breastfeeding. Mother's milk is a nectar. So nurturing and grow for the caring of the child, the mother's feed is required. It is a conception. So here the people of the Indus Saraswati civilization have looked into this aspect, the importance of the mother's milk or feed, that how it is required for the children, and it was looked into, and the artist imagined it and translated those theme into plastic art. And here you can see the first example of the breastfeeding mother. It is the what people I had given a lecture in China, and I had told what people are thinking today we have thought thousands years ago. And the first thought is that the first is the breastfeeding is the best feeding. Mother's breastfeeding is the best feeding for the child. And the second, the swasth, health, that is a yoga. And here you can see the yogic posture in the here in the art. So people says that Neolithic is the Neolithic phase, the revolution, because the invention of the wheel is itself a revolutionary process. And in Indus Valley civilization, you can say different kind of cart, and here you can say the a block art, and you can say that it is the art of the Indus civilization preserved in the museum. Now they have also looked into the aspect of the humanity, the figurines portrait. Here you have the priest, here you have the dancing girl. So you can see they have decorated, they have sense of aesthetic, they have sense of beautification, they have sense of adornation So same, you can say the well trimmed beard. We have the trifolia design cover shawl and well tied knot in the head of the this priest, generally known as the priest. And you can say the dancing girl, the entire body is having the jewelry and the features of the humanity. So this is the in their art. Animal figurines are also looked into. I have said you the Indian artists all over the globe. It was the practice, but in India it was very vividly communicated by the artists. They have minutely observed the nature, and they have cared for the ecology and the environment and the coexistence. So you can see they have their animal, and they have also crafted the art, the animal figurines you can see here. Few you have the dogs, and fully domesticated and wild dogs where there's elephants are there. uh, See, the elephants are there, and these are the part of the seal. So everything they have whatever they have seen in the environment, in the nature, they have imagined it. They translated in different forms, whether it was a sealing or the pottery. Here you can see that it is a pottery found in the armory, and here you have the painting, and you can see the painting of a animal shows that shows it that they have utilized all the aspect. So we are entering into ancient period. Ancient period means Mauryan period. We are entering the Mauryan period after the Indus Saraswati civilization. We have the PGW, we have the NBP, Northern Black Polished Ware, we have the painted grey ware. So these are the dates. We have the late degenerated Harappan Indus Valley civilization. But we cannot give all the description here. But I'm just giving the introduction of Indian art, historical and archaeological perspectives, that how it is traveling. Then after the Indus Saraswati, the major art is a Mauryan period. So in Maurya period, dated back to third, fourth century BCE to uh, first first century CE BC. So here you can say the Mauryan period. Mauryan art may be established three main phases. The first phase was continuation of the pre-Mauryan tradition, which is found in some instances of reverence of Vedic deities. The most significant example are the reliefs of the Surya and Indra at the Bhaja caves. The second phase of the court art of Asoka, typically found in the monolithic columns on which his edicts are inscribed. The third phase was beginning of brick and stone architecture, as the case original stupa at Sanchi, the small monolithic rail at Sanchi, and the Lomas Rishi cave of the Barabar caves with the ornamentation or ornamented facade reproducing the forms and the wooden structure. So remains of Mauryan art can be seen in architecture, sculpture, human and animal figurines, pillars and their capitals, pottery and coins. Uh, Pottery and coins. So here the best example of the Mauryan is Didarganji actually Yakshani, Chauri. It is commonly known as Chauri wearer, and I say is the lady, the first alphabet of the beauty. This Dedarganji Yakshani is known as the alphabet grammar of beauty, and the first alphabet of the beauty. Here you can see the Mauryan examples of the terracotta as I have seen, and it is made of out stone. So I'm not describing this. I have just told you that how it was a part of that. As we say that pillar was also the part of the Mauryan art. Here you can say the lion and the inverted lotus type, bell type design on the pillar. Here again you have the Rampurva hill. So you can uh, see here lion, you have the bull. uh, so whatever you think that is there, it is a national emblem of India, Raj Pratik. And here you can see the Sarnath's lion capital. And here we have the four, we will give the detail what are the printed here: horse, bull, elephant, and the lion. So here another example of the Mauryan art. Here again you have the example of the Mauryan art, coins and the discs. Now we are going to Isunga. Maurya period is followed by the Sunga. Sunga period, you can say terracotta was very prominent. I'm not giving you the description about the techniques and types of the Sunga period, but just I have giving you the just giving you the clue that Maurya was followed by Sunga. And in Sunga period, you do have the artistic excellence, and that Sunga period is most famous for the terracotta art. And you have seen this. You can see here the terracotta details of the scene. First Mithuna is found in the Sunga terracotta, and here you can see. And we have the Dampati also. There is a slightly difference. Then it is followed by the Kusana. Here the Kusana Empire was established, and here followed Sunga is followed by the Kusana. Then we can and click under the Kusana. Two of India's most important styles were developed between the 2nd and 5th century CE: Gandhara art and Mathura art. Art forms monumental sculptures and temples and Buddhist buildings. So Gandhara School of Art, if you see the Gandhara School of Art, silent features of the Gandhara School of Art: black stone, Greco-Roman influence, muscular appearance. The drapery covers both the soldiers, heavy folds on the drapery, weaving hairs, locks, sharp nose, upper eyelid half closed without eyeballs, plain halo. This school of art was developed in area around the north western part of India, Indian subcontinent period, 1st century CE to 3rd century CE. Here you have some example. You can see the Gandharan art. Here too you can see the Gandharan art. Here too you can see the Gandharan art. Here too you can see the Gandharan art. The influence you can see, and the art schools. After the Mauryan period, we have found the four traditional school in four field of art in ancient India: Mathura school, Gandhara school, Amravati, and Sarna. There are different influence in the, and we have seen the Gandhara. Now we can entering the Mathura school of art. Here the silent features of the Mathura school of art is red buff. They use red buff stone, buff sandstone, heavy sculptures, yakshalaik. The drapery sanghati covers one soldier only, and both soldiers, generally one soldier, but both soldiers are also seen. Light folds in the drapery, curly hair locks clockwise, upper eyelid are half closed, that simply decorated halo, long ear lobes. This school of art was prevalent in the area around the Mathura during 1st century CE to 5th century CEE. Here is the few examples of the Mathura art. You can see the examples of the Mathura art. Here is the Mathura art. So robustus, big, and the sensuous too. So Gupta period, we are in the Gupta period, and Amravati school is also there. The school of art was prevalent in the southern part of the Vindhyas, and only in the two centers, which Amravati and Nagarjuna Konda, has been identified. Greco-Roman influence are there, made of grey sandstone, mainly in panel depiction related to the life of Buddha, depiction of celestial beings with man figures. So here you have the example of this Amravati art. Then we have the Sarnath school of art. Silent features of the Sarnath school art is they have used red sandstone, delicate balance between art and aesthetic. Red and gray they have used a delicate balance between art and aesthetic. Use of platform of asana, medallion fully developed. Drapery are mainly transparent, oval face, upper eyelid are half closed. This school of art was prevalent in the area around Mathura during 4th to 5th century CE. Here is a few example. Gandhara, here you have the Sarnath. So I have given you some comparison. Here you have the Kusana, you have the Gupta in the Sarnath art. Here you have in the Sarnath, you have the Gupta period sculptures, 1, 2, 3. You can see the differences and the characteristics of the Gupta art. This is one of the masterpieces of the Sarnath, replacing Buddha, Sarnath Gupta period. And here, every feature of the Gupta period, that is why Gupta period is a golden period. They have left nothing the literary inspiration, environmental studies, and the trance of the mind setup. Everything is visible here in this art. So this is the world renowned famous Buddha figurine preserved in Sarnath Museum, known as the Preaching Buddha. So we have the rock. Then we have similarly we have the rock cave paintings also. Though cave paintings are available in Madhya Pradesh, UP, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Bihar. Bhimbetka is the earliest known in the India, and now is World Heritage Site in the Raisan district of MP. So Bhimbetka is proportionately more given more um, rock these Bhimbetka got the name and fame. But the similar in UP, if you go to the UP, Mirzapur or the Kumayu range of the Bihar or Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, you have plenty of the rock shelters, caves, etc., where the artists have translated their idea into the plastic art, and that is known as the cave painting, rock painting, and other things. So here you have the primitive paintings. You can see here you also have the example of the primitive painting. Here you have the also prehistoric painting. Here you too have the example of the painting. So they have whatever they have gauged in the environment, what they have seen in the nature. They have they make a imagination of those things and translate it into the plastic art. Either it is a two-dimensional or three-dimensional, but definitely the imagination was prime and the focused, and they have chosen all the things, and they have cared for the three things. One, that is a environment. They had the proper study of the environment. They were caring for the ecology, and they are also coexistence. So these are reflected in these plastic arts. So you have the main after the prehistoric caves and rock painting, we have the many caves and that is known as the, we call it the Ajanta paintings. Here every description, historical descriptions are there, beauty are there, aesthetics are there. Here is the, you can see it is a Ajanta, and mural paintings are there in the Ajanta. I am not going to describe. I am giving you just a description, since we are looking after the art and art form in historical and archaeological perspectives. So I am just giving you a description within the given time limits, though I am crossing it. But here is the example. Here you can see the sculptural art and the architectural art. Here you can see the paintings. They have made it in the if you go for the explanation, it is wonderful, and it is a miracle when in the dark caves they have used the vibrant colors and make the sensibility human nature, and they have expressed the soul and the society in the form of the paintings. That is a miracle. So here you have the few example of Ajanta paintings. We have many caves, and we have the Bagh. We have many in Kamu region. These are some examples, and all are described. We have the caption of all the paintings, all the scenes, all the narratives. We have the captions for them. So the mural paintings of Ajanta, the weight plus, I'm not going for the technology. Then we have the Chola art, and in Chola art, developed in the South India, we have the Pallab, Chola, and Satavahanas. But Chola is most known to the world due to the figure of the Nataraj. Chola period bronzes were created using the lost wax. The Sanskrit silk text called the Madhu Uchitistha Vidhana, bee wax and calligram. These are the techniques. But Chola art is famous for its one creation, though there are thousands of the creation by the artist of the Chola period. But the concept of Nataraj is the master concept, masterpieces of the Chola art. Nataraj, the Lord of Dance, one of the greatest names of the Shiva, is regarded as the most outstanding expression of the divine rhythm and harmony of life. In this cosmic dance are represented Panchkiya of the five activities of the Lord. That is a creation. Tandap represents five activities. What is that? That first is a creation, that is a srishti, preservation, that is sthiti, that destruction, sanghar, we have the veiling, tirobhav, we have the grace, anugrah. So these all five elements, you can see the, if you have the five elements, then you are the God, you are the creator, you have GOT. So you are the generator, operator, and the destructor. That is why, so Nataraj, Nataraj is a dancing form of Lord Shiva, but having these five elements in it, that is a creation, preservation, destruction, veiling, and the grace. That is a srishti, sthiti, sanghara, tirobhav, and anugrah. So if these are there, so that is why we have, it is a very important Chola art. So I will skip the description. Chola art described by many, and the characteristics. Yeah, I'm leaving the slide for you, so you can read it, because I have one part is a very important, which is a dear to all. That is a sensibility in Indian art. That is a very important and equally important and generally misunderstood. People do feel it, the sensibility. It is the for the human erosion and like that. It is not like that. It is a we have the concept from the consciousness, from what the sensibility, from sensibility we have the now it is known, he is known as Oso. He was earlier known as the Acharya Rajneesh, Bhagwan Rajneesh, and he has written a wonderful book from Sambhog se Samadhi tak, from sex to super consciousness. So what is the consciousness? Ultimately, our theme, if you see the Indian theme, that we have the Arth, Dharma, Kam, Moksha. So we have the four stages of life, and in the four stages, the earth means earthly world, economy, dharma means we livelihood, and dharma means not religion here. Earth, dharma, Kam. So we have the sensibility, that is the creation, and the ultimate goal is the lakshya, is the moksha, that is the salvation. So we want a salvation. That is, we have the sensibility in Indian art is for salvation, and that is why it is depicted in very earliest period, in the prehistoric period. If you see the prehistoric paintings, you have the couple touching each other. If you see the Gupta period, Sunga period, you have the concept of Mithuna. You have the concept of the Dampati in Maurya period. If you see the Gupta period, you have different. So sensibility is a part of the life in India, because it's Earth, Dharma, Kam, Moksha, due to Earth, Dharma, Kam, Moksha, and it is for salvation. So when sensibility emerges in the prehistoric era, prominently visible in Indian valley civilization area. First, Mithuna well visible in Mauryan terracotta. Kusana period, Sunga, Gupta, Satavahan, Bakata arts are vividly presents the sensuousness in Indian art. Parmar, Hoysal, Pala, Chandel art are more sensuous in comparison to the early form. Some of the artistic representation of Khajuraho are just for example. We are giving you the example of this, the sensibility in the Ajanta. This one here you have the Maurya period. It is, I have seen said you that Didarganj Yakchi or the Chamar Bahini is the grammar of the beauty, and here you can see the sensibility. If you see the neck, if you see the face, if you see the breast, if you see the waist portion, if you see the hip, so everywhere it has a sensation. Sensibility is there, but it is for what? We have the term in Sanskrit, Ya Devi Sarvoteshu Matri Rupan Sanstita. So if you have the Sanstita, if you are the institution yourself, then you are sensible at the same time. If you are feeding a child, it doesn't mean that the sensation will go to the child. So we have the state Kanya, Bharya, and Mata. We have the three stages of women in our respect in our art. That is a Kanya, means those who are the Kumari, those who are not grown up or developing. Then we have the Bharya, the Patni, those who have the experience of copulation, and then the Matri. So ultimately, we worship the Matri, and we say the yeah, uh, यदा या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता in Durga Saptati Markandeya Puran. We and also some say wherever is the woman is worshipped, they are the worshipped as a goddess. So this is the one. Here you have the example of the Kusana Mathura School of Art, where Kusana period. You can see the sensibility here. Two yakshis are on your screen, and you can see the good, well-developed breast, well-developed waist, and you can see the genetical part of the lady that is more prominent, and it means they are the prasava. Prasava means those who can give the birth. Your coming on the earth is successful if you are prasava, if you give a birth. If you don't give the prasava, we call it the ursara. Ursan means those who cannot give a birth. So that is useless for the society and environment. Even if you see the natural phenomenon in the nature, if we have the ursar bhumi, that is not giving the not create have the natural phenomenon like jungles or the forest or a plant or the herbs, it means it is a useless part of the earth. So like that, here you can see the sensibility. Here you have the sensibility. You can see the Maurya period dancing pose. You see, these are the very important things. I am not giving all the description here. That see the extra how the sensibility also arises with the styles. We have called it the prakriya, the padhati, we presentation. So presentation is one of the important aspect. Here you can see the a woman in Tribhanga Mudra. Here you can say the standing woman playing with the balls. Here you can say the woman is playing with the parrot. Here you have it's a famous portion of the temple of Khajuraho and you can see the part of the copulation and the intense relationship. So ultimately, our Indian art is to realize Indian art consists all the elements of life. See, important. Indian art consists all the elements of life. It also expresses all the rasa of life. We have the 9 rasas. Uh, every school have their own characteristics. Forms may be different, but soul of art is the same. Is every school that is to get the salvation, and the because Indian art is based on religious philosophical belief, so it is a purn, and we have the concept of Om Purnamadah Purnamidang Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnameva Avashishyate means if you are complete, even something is withdrawn from you, even though you are the Purna, you are the full. So if you have the full, that is, we have the concept of the Purna Ghata, Purna Rasa, Purna Purus, Purna Istiri. So this is the characteristic of Indian art. Uh, the art itself says, I am torn, I am brittle, but in every form I am the light of your eyes. I maybe believe that you will not roll tears out, but I am confident that you will not afford to lose your history. That is what exactly I have given you the small description of the Indian development of Indian museums and the development of the Indian art through the ages. And I will sum up with the famous medieval poet Tulsidas, who has written the Ramcharitmanas. He says, तुलसी असमय के सखा धीरज धर्म विवेक साहित्य साहस व्रत राम भरोसे एक. If you have the dheeraj, you have the patience, you have the dharam, you have the religion, you have the vivek, you have the consciousness. If you have the sahitya, you have the literature, you have the sahas, you have the courage. Uh, uh, we have the courage, we have the satyabrit, and you are the righteous satyabrat, and then you definitely God will save you, and you will be known as the in the world. Thank you, dear. So nice of you for your kind hearing. Whatever I understood, I within a given time, I tried to sum up, uh, and hope I don't know how much I have conveyed, but I tried to give you the. It was a journey actually. So I was just introducing you the museum movement of India as well as the journey of art through the ages in India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Um,
Yeah, Sujita, over to you.
so it is said, like there goes a saying that if you want to know about a culture of any place or any area, the first place that you should visit is a museum. And as you know, India being a cradle of civilization and being like a amalgamation of so many indigenous and also the impact of different external invasions have really modified the way of looking at art. And thank you for having a travel to India without us traveling, but virtually we traveled. Thank you for showing the historiography, which is very vast, and you have summed up very beautifully. Not only that, as the different time periods of the art as they change with additions and in characterization, you have like very precisely tried to make it very easy. And I even hope the people who will be seeing this talk would really be impressed by the amount of work that you have done all these years also, and your interest for museum studies is definitely so fascinating, and we really thank you. And if in case anyone has doubts or queries, definitely we will be attaching the email ID of sir, and we can definitely reach out through him to that. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank
So I will take your leave.
Yes, sir, sure.
So I stop the cam.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
stop.
you can
Thank you.
leave.